Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books and marketing expert covering Oppenheimer. Woke maniacs are blasting Oppenheimer over blow-up doll female characters. Female characters that aren't featured enough in the movie. We don't get to see enough how really it wasn't Oppenheimer, it was women in supporting roles that actually made him what he was and was responsible for everything he created. At least, that's what you're supposed to believe. Let's get into this story. Before we do, please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate you. I'm trying to get to 30,000 subscribers, so if you can't subscribe, please do subscribe. Coming from the Daily Mail, Oppenheimer is blasted for its blow-up doll portrayal of female characters. Now, when we're talking about a blow-up doll portrayal, not everybody might be familiar with what they're referring to. So from Amazon.com, here are some blow-up dolls. They don't just have Ginger, they also have Fernando, who must be Spanish, and Destiny, who doesn't look a thing like Ginger. So you can have a lot of diversity when it comes to blow-up dolls, and I guess you can have it when it comes to blow-up doll characters. Christopher Nolan's latest blockbuster, Oppenheimer, has received rave reviews from critics and viewers alike and made a huge $80 million in its opening weekend. But not everyone is happy. It's true. Opening weekend was absolutely massive for Barbie and also for Oppenheimer. Barbie was a huge, really needed hit for Warner Brothers Discovery that has had really nothing but bombs up until this point. But Barbie ain't no bomb. They're going to make a lot of money off that franchise. Oppenheimer did $180 million worldwide and now has grossed over $100 million domestically. It's been really well received. Here's a review. Oppenheimer review: Christopher Nolan's epic thriller about father of the atomic bomb is as frightening as it is brilliant. If you're gonna create a movie and it makes a lot of money and critics say stuff like this, it means you kind of know what you're doing and you don't need feedback from people on Twitter. Or do you? Cinema goers from around the world who have seen the new film have taken to Twitter to blast how the movie's female characters were written and portrayed. One viewer wrote, quote, "The women of Oppenheimer, boobs, babes, and a bit of booze. Bring the washing in, dear. They may well have been blow-up dolls." Oppenheimer tells the complex story of J. Robert Oppenheimer, leader of the Manhattan Project, the team who built the world's first atomic bomb. The film stars Cillian Murphy in the titular role alongside an ensemble cast including Robert Downey Jr., Emily Blunt, Matt Damon, and Florence Pugh, and marks the first time director Christopher Nolan has ever included a sex scene in one of his films. Nolan previously said that he was appropriately nervous and appropriately careful filming the scenes which involved Pugh and Murphy. One point noted by many social media users is that Oppenheimer fails the Bechdel test, which is used to measure the representation of women in film and other fiction. If that sounds stupid to you, it's because it is stupid. Let's take a look more at what the Bechdel test actually is. This is Bechdel. That's who came up with the test. The Bechdel test, also known as the Bechdel-Wallace test, is a measure of the representation of women in film and other fiction. The test asks whether a work features at least two women who talk to each other about something other than a man. The requirement that the two women be named is sometimes added. Passing or failing the test is not necessarily indicative of how well women are represented in any specific work. Rather, the test is used as an indicator for the active presence of women in the entire field of film and other fiction, and to call attention to gender inequality in fiction. Supposedly, media industry studies indicate that films that pass the test perform better financially than those that do not. That's a ridiculous statement. I mean, you could certainly select some films and say, hey, look, these female characters talk to each other and they didn't discuss a man. And look, this diverse character said something to another character, and that means it's going to be a financial success. That is not what makes movies financial successes, and obviously if it was, studios would be putting that in hardwired to all of their projects long and long ago. The test is named after American cartoonist Alison Bechdel, in whose 1985 comic strip Dykes to Watch Out For the test first appeared. Bechdel credited the idea to her friend Liz Wallace and the writings of Virginia Woolf. After the test became more widely discussed in the 2000s, a number of variants and tests inspired by it emerged. So this is a completely silly way to try to judge art or to try to judge content. Many creative works that would pass this test are also going to be complete garbage. You can't put tests on creative works like that. You can do it, but you'd be producing garbage. And no one who is actually good talent is going to subject their work to some kind of a test like that. If you can't tell, I find it insulting as a creative person. Taking to social media, many people lambasted the characters played by Emily Blunt and Florence Pugh, criticizing Nolan's ability to develop female characters. Quote, Oppenheimer is largely told through an unreliable narrator. This narrator considered the women in his life to be nothing more than, quote, hysterical set dressings, and only realized this wasn't the case until it was too late. As such, Kitty Oppenheimer is the closest thing we have to a hero, added another disgruntled viewer. Well, the movie is about him, not about the women surrounding him. Women are very important in every man's life, or certainly they should be. Go out there, be normal, surround yourself with all kinds of people. However, this is his story. This is not an opportunity for social justice. You can't put these kinds of limitations on art, or art will be completely destroyed. While someone else asked, Oppenheimer was so bad I walked out. Just go to Barbie, I guess. Has anyone given Nolan a hard time about the way women are portrayed in this movie? A fourth person joked, quote, I don't know why people are complaining. Oppenheimer featured all three types of women: young lover, who's an unstable communist, alcoholic wife with a sharp tongue, plucky lady scientist just trying to make a bomb, but society is in the way. Quote, the women in Oppenheimer were there to release Oppie's tension, and that's about it, wrote a fifth Twitter user. Well, maybe that's the way Oppenheimer perceived them. That's how the artist who created the film perceived the situation and told the story, which is incredibly well received critically and financially. Produce work that people critically say is great and is a big financial success, and people will respect your point of view. However, not everyone was against the movie, calling the backlash woke behavior. One Oppenheimer defender wrote, quote, a lady got mad after watching Oppenheimer just because there were no women for the first 15 minutes of the movie, and there were not many diverse characters in the movie. I believe this is purely woke behavior, creating problems out of things that are not a problem in real life. Earlier this week, Dr. Tanya Roth took to Twitter to criticize the film for its lack of female representation within the first 20 minutes. The expert on women's history said, quote, fun fact, no women speak until 20 minutes into Oppenheimer, and then within a minute, there's a sex scene. She also followed this up with, quote, to add to this, no people of color appear for at least 30 minutes, and I believe there are 2 black men in the entire movie. These are horrendous statements to reduce people to gender and to reduce them to their skin color. We're all human beings. Our humanity can be transcended by whether we're a woman or a man, or whether we're black or we're white or we're Asian or whatever. Just follow the story and try to get what the filmmaker is trying to tell you. Don't criticize how he's telling the story and think that you could really do better. Just go out and do it better yourself. Christopher Nolan previously defended the film's sex scenes, telling Insider that the intimate scenes played an essential part in establishing the relationship between Oppenheimer and Tatlock, whose link to the American Communist Party led to the suspicion of Oppenheimer being a Soviet spy. He said, when you look at Oppenheimer's life and you look at this story, that aspect of his life, the aspect of his sexuality, his way with women, the charm that he exuded, it's an essential part of the story. This is something that if you watch the film, you can begin to understand why he puts in what he puts in. When you have a filmmaker who's had a lot of success and is very well critically received, they don't put in extra stuff to please the audience or even to please themselves that can interfere with the storytelling. It's actually very difficult to put together any kind of storytelling production. Coming up this weekend from Deadline, Barbie and Oppenheimer combined second weekend of $107 million or more could lock out Disney's Haunted Mansion, and that's what everyone at this point is pretty much expecting. Disney is launching Haunted Mansion this weekend, but like many Disney projects, no one's talking about it, no one's excited about it. It's as if every other studio but Disney is getting attention right now. So in the second weekend of Oppenheimer and the second weekend of Barbie, for Disney to be stuck releasing Haunted Mansion, you can pretty much guarantee Disney's going to lose another huge chunk of money on their next box office release. Exhibition and pre-sales. indicate a start of $30 million for Haunted Mansion. Although it wouldn't be a surprise if the movie comes in at between $20 and $25 million. That's close to where the Eddie Murphy 2003 version debuted to at $24.2 million before finalizing at $75.8 million domestic. So everyone can expect Haunted Mansion to get destroyed this weekend because of Oppenheimer and because of Barbie. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Do you think it's important that filmmakers, before they start telling their story, first figure out how they're going to force female characters and diverse characters into their script? Do you think that should come before telling the story, and then you can kind of try to work a story around making sure that you have enough representation in there to try to please the woke agenda? Or do you think that a writer should be focused on the story that he needs to tell and then try to include people, if he can, where it makes sense in telling his story, but really make it secondary at best when you're trying to create something that'll be a critical and financial success? I mean, why make art if it's not your art? If you're just doing it to please someone else's agenda, it really doesn't seem to make any sense. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Always love to see your ideas. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another video. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.